Today we take a look at Dublin, the capital city of Ireland. Dublin has always been a very characteristic city. Most of you think of Guinness and Irish pubs when they try to picture the city, but there is so much more to it. One of the ways of trying to get to know the city better is by exploring written works. Today I have chosen Dubliners by James Joyce and Bullfighting by Roddy Doyle. First, a bit of background information. In the short story collection of Dubliners, James Joyce gives us an insight in the life of the Irish middle class. During 15 short stories we follow people of different ages, gradually getting older when we move further in the collection. Typical for the early 20th century is how Dublin was Ireland's most important port. The River Liffey divides the city into a northern and a southern part, and the docks of these times are beautifully portrayed in chapter 2 of Dubliners. A thriving and noisy part of town, barges with barrels full of Guinness, great sea ships hauling the world's goods. Comparing this to modern Dublin, what we can find in Bullfighting, the city hasn't necessarily improved. Industries have gone downhill, and with that the unemployment has gone up. Tourism is one of the city's main sources of income now. All this internationalism can be spotted in the works of both writers. In Dubliners, Araby, a poetic name for Arabia, the bazaar is the main setting of chapter 3, a thriving international marketplace. In Bullfighting we can read that most Irish people either leave the country and never come back, or they stay put and try to make a living there. Holidays to other countries are very common, and here we can also see a link with Dubliners. The boys in chapter 2 want to leave and go on adventures. There is nothing in the city to their minds. Irish pubs can be found in both books too. The pub has always remained a meeting place for people looking for company or just wanting to hang out with friends. Some even prefer the pub over spending time with families or romantic interests. I'm referring to you, Doyle. Eating a molten Mars bar from a navel. What creativity you have. In chapter 14 of Dubliners, Greece, we get to follow a drunken man who has fallen down the stairs in a pub. He gets helped up by some other visitors or people in the pub, and is later retrieved by a friend and taken home. Not much of that has changed over the course of the century, of course. It happens all the time. In bars, in pubs, and in all kinds of discos. Drinking has always been a known attribute to Irish folk, and in bullfighting we can see the group of men in pubs and other drinking facilities regularly. Quoting Roddy Doyle on pints, 4 was automatic, the 5th was always a decision. He also states that he used to drink a lot more, especially in his younger years. In Dubliners there is a small hint of a search for identity everywhere. The further the collections progress, the older the narrating protagonists become. We follow it from childhood through adolescence to maturity and beyond. In bullfighting, however, we are bound to one age, something in the range of 48, the age of a midlife crisis. There, we sadly do not get to see any more of Dublin in its variations. In Dubliners, we do. Another thing that has changed is the way in which religion has become more and more a thing of the past. James Joyce in Dubliners regularly uses religious figures and themes in his work, and Roddy Doyle in Bullfighting doesn't use religion at all, actually. And so we find ourselves nearing the end for this time. Let me summarize it a bit for you. The industry has calmed down, and with that the ports have changed. Mind you, the harbour side is still booming with activity. Tourism has started playing a much larger role, but this is normal for every major city in the world. The means for relaxation, however, have stayed the same. Pubs are still a very popular place for a drink, or 5. From a religious aspect, you have to decide for yourself. One can always find a house of God if one is searching, but religious figures as teachers, they are not seen that much anymore. And that's all for today, folks. Remember to leave a like if you liked it, and you can comment as well. See you next time.